One hot day in Florida, Jeff Longo was walking down the sidewalk in his neighborhood, unaware that his life was about to change forever. The sun was scorching and the asphalt was so hot it seemed like you could fry an egg on it. Suddenly he noticed a tiny creature lying still under the blazing sun. Jeff stopped to take a closer look, his heart racing with excitement. It was a tiny being the size of his thumb. This unusual animal looked barely alive, its small body barely rising and falling. Its skin felt dry and hot to the touch, and its eyes were closed. Jeff realized that if he didn't intervene, the animal would die. Within minutes, without hesitation, he carefully lifted the tiny creature and shielded it from the sun. In the shade of his hand, Jeff felt a faint heartbeat pulsing against his fingers. Although he had no experience with wild animals, he knew he had to do something urgently. He hurried home holding the little one. From users was mixed. Many were sure the animal wouldn't survive, especially in the hands of an inexperienced person. Some even advised Jeff to leave it to die, saying it was natural selection. These words hurt him, but Jeff decided not to give up. He was absolutely convinced that the fate of this tiny creature was now in his hands. Ignoring the pessimistic comments, he began feeding the little one with a special newborn animal formula through a dropper. Welcome to Spa Stories, where the line between the known and the unknown fades, and the shadows whisper truths untold. Tonight, we delve into the primal connection between humans and animals, a bond forged in trust, sometimes fear, and always in mystery. Every drop that made it into the tiny mouth felt like a victory. Every 2 hours, day and night, Jeff would wake up to feed his little charge. The lack of sleep was hard, but he kept caring for the tiny animal. He named him Biscuit because he was so small and soft. The first days were the hardest. Biscuit was very weak, and Jeff was afraid he might not make it through the night. Every morning, Jeff would wake up with his heart in his throat, checking to see if his tiny friend was still breathing. But the little creature turned out to be surprisingly resilient. With each day, Biscuit grew stronger and more active, and Jeff felt his bond with his being growing. After a week, Biscuit started growing fur. Jeff was thrilled to watch his pet transform. Now he could see that Biscuit had little paws and a long tail, though he still couldn't tell what kind of animal he was. Every new hair on Biscuit's body felt like a small miracle to Jeff. A month later, Biscuit turned into an energetic little animal. He started exploring Jeff's home, climbing on anything he could reach. One day, Jeff nearly had a heart attack when he couldn't find Biscuit, only to discover him peacefully sleeping in the pocket of an old jacket. By then, Jeff had completely bonded with his unusual pet. He created a special corner in his home for Biscuit with ladders and platforms for climbing. Jeff spent several Biscuit. After 2 months of living together, Jeff finally got an answer. One of the Reddit users, seeing the new pictures of the grown-up Biscuit, identified him as a flying squirrel, a rare species that lives in the southern states of the USA. Jeff felt a thrill of excitement at this discovery. Jeff was amazed. He began learning everything he could about flying squirrels. He found out that these animals are nocturnal and rarely interact with humans, but Biscuit, raised by a human from birth, behaved nothing like a wild animal. He loved sitting on Jeff's shoulder, watching the world around him with his big eyes. Now that Jeff knew who Biscuit was, he could take better care of his needs. He changed Biscuit's diet, adding nuts, seeds, and fruits. Biscuit especially loved pan, and Jeff often laughed watching his little friend trying to carry a nut almost as big as he was. Jeff started thinking about whether he could release Biscuit back into the wild. This thought brought him mixed feelings. On one hand, he wanted to give Biscuit a chance to live naturally, but on the other, he feared losing his little friend. But experts told him that an animal raised by humans likely wouldn't survive on its own. Besides, Biscuit had become too attached to Jeff, following him everywhere. The decision to keep Biscuit wasn't easy, but Jeff knew it was the best choice for both of them. He set up a spacious cage where Biscuit could safely fly and jump. Jeff spent all his savings on this cage, but seeing Biscuit happy in it, he had no regrets. Jeff's life changed completely with Biscuit's arrival. His unusual pet became a local celebrity, with people coming over to see the remarkable little creature. Jeff even created a social media page for Biscuit, sharing their daily life. The number of followers grew every day, and soon Biscuit became an internet sensation. Biscuit grew more active and loved sitting in Jeff's shirt pocket peeking out with curious eyes. Jeff often took him to work where Biscuit entertained his co-workers with acrobatic tricks. One day Biscuit caused quite a stir at the office when he decided to fly between desks, causing both awe and panic among the staff. Although Biscuit was a nocturnal animal, he adjusted to Jeff's daytime schedule. In the evenings they watched TV together with Biscuit comfortably settled on Jeff's shoulder. Sometimes Jeff noticed how Biscuit seemed interested in the screen, especially drawn to nature documentaries. Jeff's dogs also accepted their unusual new family member. At first Jeff worried they might harm little Biscuit, but it soon became clear there was nothing to fear. Biscuit loved teasing the dogs, jumping on their backs and quickly running away. The dogs in turn treated Biscuit with kindness as if he were their much younger brother. Time passed, and Jeff realized he couldn't imagine his life without Biscuit. The tiny creature he had found half dead on the sidewalk had become his best friend and constant source of joy and wonder. Each day brought something new. Biscuit learned to open the door of his cage or developed a taste for popcorn during movie nights. Jeff and Biscuit's story spread across the internet, inspiring people worldwide. Many admired Jeff's dedication and willingness to care for such an unusual pet. Some even said they wanted their own pocket-sized flying squirrel. Jeff received hundreds of messages from people saying that his story changed their view on human-animal relationships. Jeff often thought back to the day he found Biscuit. He was grateful to have been in the right place at the right time. By choosing to save that tiny creature, he gained a remarkable friend and a new perspective on life. Every time Biscuit fell asleep on his chest, Jeff's heart overflowed with love and gratitude. Today Biscuit lives a happy life with his human dad. He has everything a flying squirrel needs: a spacious cage for flying, various toys, and most importantly, Jeff's love and care. Jeff even started studying veterinary science to better care for his unique pet. He never stops marveling at how such a small creature can bring so much happiness into someone's life. Each morning, waking up and seeing Biscuit peacefully sleeping in his little nest, Jeff smiles knowing his life is so much richer because of this little miracle. Remember, the next time you hear the rustle of leaves or feel unseen eyes watching, it could be more than just your imagination.